I'm gonna disappoint you guys like out of the gates. Truly, the reason I started Caden Lane was not because I saw an opportunity and not because I was gonna solve a problem. It was really just because I wanted to run a company.
You went from a high of $10 million, the recession, a divorce. At any point were you like, I'm an idiot, I gotta get out of this?
We sent an email out to all 4,000 stores. It said, thank you so much. We really appreciate your business, but we're going direct to consumer now.
That's like a full-on, like, I'm gonna put a bullet in it.
People say like, oh, you're so lucky to be an entrepreneur.
Oh,
I don't
no. I can't stand that.
Because I'm like, you have no idea. It was October of 2008. Credit cards stopped processing, but new stores weren't opening and stores were closing.
Clay Christensen's Innovator's Dilemma is one of the most referenced books and concepts of all time. I am sure you know it. But have you ever met a founder who's actually pulled it off, who navigated having to destroy the business that they have just to build another one? This is the first brand story I've ever heard where a founder took a working business and decided to tear it down to the studs and rebuild it. Totally new to go to market. She did it bootstrapped. She did it as a solo founder. She did it over 21 years. She did it while she was giving back to her community and raising a family. This is not a small company. She's doing well over 9 figures in revenue today, has ambitions to grow it over 500 million. And the journey to get here is freaking insane. You're going to love hearing from her. This is Operators Titans. It is brought to you by AppLovin. And today we are joined by Katy Mimari, the founder and CEO of Caden Lane. We are so getting into this. Okay, so Katy, I think the nice thing is that Sean and I actually know a decent amount about your business at this point.
Yeah.
We have like a little bit of color on where it's like all coming from. But I think we've got like enough time today that, and you were so entertaining on the first time that we had you on the Operators Pod. I would really like to know how you even came up with the concept of Caden Lane. And I think the way to frame this up is like, you talk to founders, and most founder stories, they start with either like, I saw a problem and I wanted to solve it, right? It's like something was wrong, or it's like purely opportunistic. It's like, I can make a ton of money by going into this category. I'm going to go into it. So like, if you can, because you've been in business 20 years,
21
years, there we go right back to like day one and start there.
I'm gonna disappoint you guys like out of the gates because truly the reason I started Caden Lane was not because I saw an opportunity and not because I was gonna solve a problem. It was really just because I wanted to run a company. And it wasn't my first company. So I think I've told you all the story. Like in college, I started my first company and I was a photographer. And it was really when I learned my first lesson about how to run a business and how to scale a business. And specifically, like, I guess it was really so we did pictures. So we did Santa pictures and Easter pictures, which is seasonal, right? For these little babies. And it was dependent on my own effort. So kind of like when you go see a doctor, right? Like if y'all need to see a specialist for a doctor or whatever, you want to go see that specific doctor. You don't want to see their partner or you don't want to see something else. And so in college, I kind of learned, well, I need to figure out a way that I can create a business that's scalable beyond my own efforts. So like beyond what I was really putting in, like taking the actual the pictures. And it was before I had kids. Like that's another disappointment, right? Like a founder that runs a baby brand should have probably named her company after her children, and she's probably already had children. Like I screwed up the whole story. It's just nothing is textbook. But yeah, so I was, gosh, go back to like 2004, and I was engaged to my first husband, and he was a medical student. So he was studying to be a surgeon, and it was miserable, and we had no money. But I wanted to create a company, and I thought the idea of creating a product was really cool because it was something that could be sold everywhere, and this was, like, pre-ecom, right? So there was no, like, get online and people can buy from wherever. It was very much like if you were in consumer, like, the goal was to sell it, like, some mass merchant, like Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus or Target or whatever. Like, that's how you got into all the households. And I just thought that was really cool that somebody from like San Antonio, Texas, which is totally lame, could sell something to somebody in New York or Florida or California or wherever. Um, and so I more created the idea of the company and what it looked like before I even had the product idea. The product idea came from my friends were starting to have babies. So I still wasn't even married, no kids. And I very specifically remember driving in the car with one of my good friends who had a little one, and she had this like terrible diaper bag on the floor. And she was trendy, like she was young and cool and all the things that like it was just terrible. It was smocked and had choo-choo trains on it, some like that. Like something that was just not cool at all. And I had been playing with the idea of doing apparel because I really liked it. I knew I wanted to go into the children's industry because I had done it forever. I grew up, my mom had or still has daycare centers. So my first jobs were always around babies. And then of course I was a, infant photographer and children's photographer. So I knew I wanted it in the baby industry, but I felt like apparel was way too oversaturated. And so diaper bags, like in the car on a highway, probably on my way to get drinks with her with a baby in a bar, I was like, well, maybe I'll do a diaper bag. And I can't sew a button onto a shirt, you guys. I'm not a product designer. Like, I don't know what seams are called. I don't know what stitches are. But I thought that it was a really cool opportunity because I felt like it was not an overran segment in the baby world. I did my research and just kind of decided to lean into diaper bags. And I really liked purses. So like a fun little fact about me is I don't like a lot of expensive things and I'll wear my like old tennis shoes and jeans and a t-shirt, but I always have a nice purse. And so it was just, I don't know, something that was close to my heart, right? So what, Sean?
Oh, I have two questions. One, you made Caden Lane before you had children, and you made the comment that, maybe you should have named it after them. What is Caden Lane named after?
This is not a story for podcasts.
Sure it is.
I'll tell
Just
okay.
because you said that, it means it is.
I'm gonna give y'all the G-rated version. Have I really not told either of you this story?
No.
Oh, I know it. I want to hear.
Well, you know it, great. So, Sean, so I had already decided to do diaper bags, and at this point we were engaged and we were planning a wedding, and I'm one of 6 kids. Not all of us get along. Like that's the short answer of it. And my younger sister, got pregnant with a just random person. See, this is the problem with these podcasts is this
This is
stuff
so great. Keep
leaves
going.
it lives like in
No,
for
keep
internet foreverness. And so can you block her so she doesn't listen to this?
going. Yeah. We'll just call YouTube. Say,
Yeah. Jesus. So I was planning and I had a big wedding, like a formal wedding. We got married at Christmas. Like I was doing all the things you're supposed to do, right? Like send out like announcements. It was gonna be the wedding of the year. Well, here comes my little sister, knocked up by this basketball player guy, and she wants to name her child Caden. And so when I was Sean, I don't know if you know this, but most women like pick their kids' names out like early on. Like we've just always kind of dreamed about like, oh, one day I'm gonna have a boy or girl and I'm gonna name them whatever. Well, Caden was always one of my names, and I was very vocal about it. Like, this is my favorite baby name. One day I'm gonna name my child Caden. Well, except till my sister decided to get pregnant before me. And so she had the name. This is not the kind of like baby company that has a good story of how you figured out the freaking name for it, but whatever. Look, I decided to I told my mom, I said, this is bull and I'm going to register the name and I'm going to incorporate it and I'm calling my company it. So if she wants to name her baby after my company, that's fine. And so she didn't. And so my company got the name just literally on accident. And then as luck would have it, I got pregnant in that first year of marriage and found out it was a boy. And I was like, God damn it. I gave my best name to my company. So
it's so good.
it's not so good. So Cade is my son, not named after my company, but I couldn't come up with a better name. so my kid was named after my company, which
Hilarious.
yeah,
So
like
good.
I'm sure we'll lean into how Katie's a workaholic, and then at the end of this, it'll all come full circle because you'll be like, yeah, she named her kid after her company, and it makes sense now. So
I think it summarizes up your personality that like no one's getting one past Katie.
no, I
Blood.
had to like file. Yeah, I had to register the name so that yeah, and the other name, and I love my nephew to pieces, but let me just say it's nothing like uh Caden.
So my question was going to be,
What?
you've always worked with kids from, daycare to photography to, and now you're selling stuff to millions of children every single year.
Yeah.
Going back to the photography business, did those skills help you in this new business? And my second question is, do you remember like the ugliest kid you ever saw when you worked with photos?
Yes, there is such a thing as ugly children. Yeah, I know, which is so sad, but we still yeah. Okay, so to answer your first question, yes, I think absolutely. Like if you go to our website, we do all lifestyle photos. We don't use product photography. And I did it for a very long time, up until probably 30 million. I think I was the sole photographer of all of our products. So everything that was on our website. And then now we have a photographer, and it took me a while to like, first she had to shadow me and she had to spend all the time in there. And then I had to tell her what I liked and I didn't like. And eventually, I'd say probably 2 or 3 years ago, I was able to just stop going in the photo room, which was life changing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all founders have those little quirks where they're like, no, I have to do this because I'm like, uniquely talented at it. And
Yeah.
I'm still logging into Meta. Like I'm not
Dude.
talented at it.
All I said was I'm not going in the photo room. Let me tell you all the other stuff I am still doing. Yeah.
all right, Matt, what's
So
the next question?
I want to just back up real quick, Katie. You said that you wanted to start a company and you said that you wanted something that was scalable.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the math. You're like in your mid 20s thinking
No, I was in my young 20s. I was like
early 20s. Okay.
early 20s.
Who taught you this? Because like I know 40-year-olds that still don't think this way. Like, where did you get this? Like, is it natural? Is it because your mom
Yeah.
is an entrepreneur? Like, where you're like the photography business can't scale, I need something scalable. Like, I didn't even get this right until I was in my like late 30s. So
Yeah.
why? Where?
I mean, it was two things. I remember being in college and I was making six figures in college. Like I thought I'd stay up till 3 a.m. This is before digital photography. So we had to actually print proofs, like actual like photos. And I'd attach them to the order forms and put them in this big file folder and deliver them at all the schools. And I got sick every Christmas and every Easter. And I also trailered a pony and because I'm in Texas. So of course, like we take pictures on horses with like cowboy hats and the whole thing. But I just remember I loved it. I was crushing it and making all this money, but then I couldn't add more days to the calendar. So it's not like I knew something that somebody else didn't know. I just knew that I couldn't scale beyond what I was doing because I couldn't find more hours in the day. But to answer your question about my mom yes, like, so I am born into a very entrepreneurial family, my mom specifically, and she owns daycare centers. Do you want me to tell y'all about like
I'd like to
story?
I've heard, I think in LA you told me about this the last time we did a meetup.
Yeah.
These are not like your mom does not run a small
No.
company.
No, she has like over
Like daycare center sounds like she takes care of 20 kids on Tuesdays.
yeah, welcome to my life. Like people
Like
they're
it's a
like,
Texas version of daycare centers.
yes. And I can relate with her on that because people are like, "What do you do?" Like we go out to dinner and I meet a new, couple or whatever, and they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I have a baby brand." And they're like, "That's cute." And I'm like, "No, asshole. Like it's actually a really big company." So yes, so she has over 300 employees. She was actually in law school and she was young. She was 21, 22, and got pregnant with me and couldn't find decent daycare, right? So that's your like typical entrepreneurial, I think, story. And so she was like, "Well, I'm going to start my own." And so she actually started her daycare while she was in law school. and I went to it. But I think how I learned, how to be an entrepreneur, because you can't learn it in school, is that so my mom worked from home before remote was even a thing. She had a home office, like, right? Like back in the day, if you could have a whole room that was dedicated as your home office, like you made it. And I had a little like play desk in there. And my sister, who tried to steal my baby name, she was always my secretary. I was the boss. And I was really good at to-do lists. And so I would write out my to-do list for her and I would give them to her because she was my secretary. And I just mimicked it and she dragged us along. So I literally remember going to like banker meetings and, insurance meetings because it's daycare. So everything's about insurance. And I remember she's got 13 schools now. And I remember like walking property and her like putting stakes in the ground and talking about the floor plans of the daycare and how they expand out. And I watched, right, like her build the first school. So all of these schools were literally like ground up, like brick by brick. And I watched her grow to a very successful company. When we moved into like what I'd say our big house, right? When my mom really was successful I was in high school. And I have younger siblings. They're like 10 years younger than me, and they're very spoiled because they got to grow up with like already living in that. But I think that there's a lot that I learned just by watching it, right? And observing
sure.
it. And yeah. So, but the funny part is I'm one of six and none of the others are entrepreneurs. So I don't think there's some magic sauce, right? It just maybe I was mimicking it. I don't know. So I think that's how I figured it out, right? And also I've had this really high bar over my head forever because it was both of my parents were attorneys and my mom still is a practicing attorney but uses it to the benefit of her company. And my father is an attorney for Whataburger, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we have like unlimited Whataburger in our family. That's like California people don't think that's cool, but Texas people think it's really cool.
Sean knows every lawyer in America.
I know.
I'm pretty convinced of this.
I know, but he actually employs the coolest lawyer. She's awesome. So,
Well, if your dad's looking, I would love to add him to my roster, man.
No. Are you kidding? Don't think I didn't already think. So my mom and dad just turned 70. Literally, yesterday was my mom's birthday, and my dad's birthday was like a week ago. And they're both working and kicking ass, and both of my step parents are amazing people. And I don't know, I just grew up around business. So for me, like I went to college and I studied marketing and advertising, and I never made a resume. I still don't have a resume. I just knew I was going to run a business. And I just had to figure out what kind of business it was, right?
What's up, Operators fandom? If you go to 9operators.com/AppLovin, all of your dreams will come true. There is millions and millions of dollars being spent on AppLovin every single day. We're going to teach you how to do it. You're going to get $5,000 in free ad credit. We're going to have a live webinar. We're going to have celebrities, people from The Office, people from other movies and TV shows are going to be on there to teach you how to use AppLovin. I've personally spent millions of dollars there. I am an AppLovin defender. If you just go to this URL, you listen to the best content you ever heard, $5,000 in free ad credit, start spending. I'm excited. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there. We're going to do this thing together. You'll have hundreds of people teaching you how to start spending money effectively on this new ad platform. Go to 9operators.com/AppLovin. Thank you for listening. Let's get back to the show.
Okay, so like if you I have so many questions. If you you start from I like bags. These bags suck. I'm going to make these things.
Yeah.
Was there a moment in this, like these early years where you're like, oh my God, I have a real company? Like, do you remember that moment? You're like, holy hell, this works.
No. Well, so remember, I kind of think of my company as in like two lifetimes, right? Like the
Yep.
first lifetime was when we were wholesale and going to market and doing all the things. And then the second life of my company was when we switched over to direct to consumer. But in both of them, even when it was wholesale, the part where I really understood that it was more than just a hobby was when I would see like our product out in like the wild, like in an airport. And a mom would be walking. So our first products were diaper bags and crib bedding, but it was always the diaper bags I would see like in the airport or I don't know, outside of our own city, right? And I would walk up to the mom and I would just say, I really like your bag. And she'd say, "Thank you." And I'd be like, "What is it?" And she'd be like, "It's Caden Lane." I'm like, "That's wow, it's so good. I want to get one." I never told her who I was. I just wanted to compliment her. And then I'd walk away with, like, a big smile on my face, and that was the coolest feeling in the world because there was no like, I didn't have any KPIs to track, right? Like, I didn't even know where the woman bought her bag. Um, it was just really cool to think, like, I had traveled to Florida, and then, like, this mom had my diaper bag, and I don't know. I think that's probably when I thought it was a brand, but still not anything like it is today. I had no idea what it could be, you know?
So you have a very famous story that I've heard on the podcast, and I'm sure the audience has heard, taking your baby 6 weeks old to Mexico to
Yes.
argue with manufacturers, right?
In
And
Spanish.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and then, I think less than 8 years later, you're getting features in a ton of PR magazines because 'cause you're doing celebrity baby wardrobes, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, that was all the first life of your business. And is there any other, like, aha moments? Like, walking up to people in the airport, fighting with suppliers in Spanish with a 6-week-old baby, and then you see, you know, uh, basically the cover of magazines, you're doing celebrity, baby renovations.
Yeah.
Any other aha moments that first life of the business?
About it being a brand.
Or yeah, or just like it's starting to feel bigger than you, or maybe it's never felt bigger than you.
Beyond a hobby, I guess, is like the way you framed it.
Yeah. I don't I mean, I don't think it ever felt bigger than me in its first life, right? Like I had I had success with it out of the gates. Like you said, Sean, I took my right, like I induced my pregnancy. Like I pissed off every natural birth person in the world because I had my baby, like I made them cut it out of me. I had a C-section. And I told my doctor, I said, "Look, I'm either going to take a 3-week-old to New York or I'm taking a 5-week-old. Like you pick." And she's like, "Okay, I guess you're going to take a 5-week-old." Because I wasn't gonna miss out on it, and I knew that I needed to go do this to grow my company. But through those first that was 2004, 2005. The hardest part of the company was for sure 2008, which I bring up every once in a while because right now the buzzword is like, "Are we in a recession?" Man, nobody knows what a recession is. Like, they don't. This is not a recession. 2008, 2009, if you had a company, it was hard. Like, it was really hard, and so we were selling to just brick and mortar. So, like, Sean, imagine if, like, Best Buy all of a sudden closed down half their stores and you had no control over it. And they sent you an email and they're like, "That's it. We're done." Right? Or Costco or whatever, like, whatever mass merchant, that you were dependent on. And it happened really fast and it lasted a whole year. And it was it was for sure the hardest thing I'd ever done.
So doubling down on 2008, bring us to that moment. How many employees did you guys have? Like, what was revenue pre and then post, and like how sudden was that drop?
Okay, so we were probably at that point, we were maybe, I don't know, 5 to 7 million, just under 10 million, in sales just to wholesalers. I had, I think, 3 employees, and we were working with a 3PL, and so Nordstrom was a big account, so was Bye Bye Baby, and really that was when we first started to see online accounts come in that were doing drop shipping. So we had a couple, like, really, accounts that were just baby boutiques online, not their own brand, just drop shipping different brands. And I mean, it was October of 2008. And it was just all of a sudden, credit cards stopped processing. So back then there was no online processing. Like when we went to market, we had to write the order on like carbon copy papers. So dating. Like we'd get orders faxed to us. And I'm not that old. But it just stopped, Sean. Like the best way to explain it is it felt like crickets overnight. And I had one girl that was basically in charge of, like, accounts, signing up new accounts. Like she was just a wholesale manager, probably was her title. Um, and we were calling stores, and these store owners were crying on the phone, like that they couldn't pay their rent, and right, and they return the product to us because people weren't coming in the store, and they were having to close down, and it spiraled really quickly. Um, and then into 2009, like it was a good full year of just really tough times for everybody. And so we weren't signing on new customers. Like right now, everyone talks about, oh, like cost of customer acquisition is so hard. But okay, yeah. But like our, the ocean we get to dip in is massive, right? Like we can find those customers. We can still like optimize. Back then, it just wasn't like that. Like, new stores weren't opening and stores were closing, and so our TAM, right, of wholesale was shrinking faster than we could, keep up with it, and so I'd say our revenue more than cut in half in a year.
Did you have to lose any employees over that, or was the team small enough you could?
No, it was just 3 of us. So, no, I didn't lose any employees, um, but I do remember having to be very frugal, and I remember that, $10,000 was the amount that I wanted in my bank account, and I felt like if I could keep $10,000 in my bank account, I could pay for our rent and our 3PL, and I could pay payroll. Wasn't paying myself at all, but that was, like, my magic number, and if that number got below that, then I was definitely having a bottle of wine in the bathtub that night. It was hard. Like, I mean, I can't even tell you, like, now my CFO laughs with me because right, like, have different anxiety levels, like, if our operating account gets below a certain cash level, I'm like, "We need to transfer money and we need to do this," and it's very humbling to, like, think back about when $10,000 was, "Okay, we're good because we can manage on $10,000, and roll that."
Is it surreal that, like, now every hour you do $10,000? Like, is it
Sean, yeah, no, like, "Boy, we're doing more than $10,000 in an hour, yes."
I'm just saying every hour, 2 in the morning, you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah. It's so surreal. Yeah. Yes. Oh my god, that's the fun part of the story, is when we changed everything. Then it got really exciting.
I wanna go there. I wanna know about this transition more because I think we've heard it, but I don't think, like I have questions around how this actually happened.
yeah, take us to the death of version 1 of Caden Lane
The
and the
death.
birth of version
Was
2.
it like was it quiet? Like, was it like I'm just gonna take this company, like, this part of my business, like, we're gonna take it out back one day and just put a bullet in it? Or, like, did you already have the new version up and running?
Like, did I assassinate it or was it
Yeah,
so
like, how
painful? Or did I
brutal was
just
that?
poison it slowly in their drinks at night? How
Yeah,
did I kill my company?
yeah.
Uh, no, honestly, it had nothing to do with my company. It was, I mean, yes, 2008, 2009 were hard, and then 10, 11, 12 stayed hard. It got a little bit better, and we, trimmed the fat and optimized towards profit, and, like, we did all the things. The biggest thing we did was change our product assortment. So pre-recession, we were just diaper bags and crib bedding, which those AOVs were like $150 to $450. So they were very large purchases for the customers and for the stores. After the recession, I recognized that my stores were asking for just more gifty items. They wanted to, what people were coming in for was baby shower gifts and new things for their newborn. And I saw the opportunity to try to fill that hole. And so that was our first product expansion experience, into like hooded towels and bibs and burps and blankets and even some apparel items, which was really exciting for me because that's right, like what I wanted to start with. We actually had a brand for a hot minute called Pity Shants, which is so
This
embarrassing.
is the best name.
It's so embarrassing because y'all know what it stands for.
Yeah.
Did what?
Yeah, yeah.
No, Sean, you know because you read the thing. Sean, you want to guess what Pity Shants stands for? It was a children's like layette line, and
I don't know any of these
God,
words.
you need to have
Pretty
some
chance.
So it was just like, I don't know, what's the word, an acronym for pants? I'm so embarrassed that I even had a brand like that. The logo was fabulous. And let me tell you, everybody at market stopped and would laugh at it, and then they would write an order. It did great. Like, we crushed it. Had I had Facebook ads at the time when that was the name of my brand, my engagement would have like been amazing.
Why have you not revitalized a product called Pity Shan?
Honestly, I forgot about it until I read y'all's thing, and I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. Yeah. So maybe I should. But and the prints on it, I designed myself. So like, I mean, I literally have taught myself how to do everything in this whole company and the whole business. Every aspect of it, I just figured it out, including print design. But okay, so we expanded into accessories just to appease our wholesalers. Definitely had revenue pick back up. Um, but I wasn't happy, right? Like, everyone gets like burnout from their jobs, and especially I think entrepreneurs, because things can be very repetitive and we're all like addicted to the growth and change and all the things. And so when you get kind of in this like lull of survival, it's very easy to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Even though you do, you just want to get out of the hole. Um, and I think I was tired too. Like, I was tired of the old way of doing it. It was really frustrating to go to market or talk to our stores and have some junior buyer decide what was going to be the hottest new thing. And I'd be like, no, this is on trend. This is what moms want. I mean, remember, I was my target audience. So I had my first baby, and then 2 years later, I had my second. Like, we had cribs in our booths at market, and I literally put my babies down for their nap in the booth. And people would come by and they'd be like, "Oh my God, is that a real baby?" Like, it was brilliant marketing. It was brilliant. But it was exhausting.
Bad parenting.
It
Brilliant marketing.
Yeah, I was a terrible mother. I was terrible. And I just dragged him along.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, so surviving 2008, 2009, dealing with the challenges of 10, 11, 12, and then that's when the rebirth happens. They're going
Yeah.
to get into all these other products. So product expansion first.
Product expansion first. I was trying to revive it, what it was. And then at the same time, I was personally going through a divorce. And when I look back, like, because I get asked this question a lot, right? Like, well, why did you do it? And a little bit of it was what I was saying was really just I wanted to talk to my customer directly. I felt like I knew her better than some of these buyers did, and they weren't delivering the message like I wanted them to deliver. Um, and then I just wanted to find the fun and the joy in it again. And it wasn't there because I had done it for 10, 13 years. And I right, like, I don't know. I don't think I don't think running a company has to be a job. I think it can truly be a passion and something that like really fulfills you.
Do you still
And
get joy out of that today, Katie? Like
oh my
the
gosh.
customer relationship piece, like the
Yes.
talking to your customers, like knowing moms and
Yes. Yes. Hands down. Best thing I ever did was get rid of my first husband and change my company.
Okay, so you started product first, then you went and then you were like, I'm gonna take product, we're gonna go direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Can you like, and this is just to give everybody a time scale. We're talking like the
2015,
2012,
2016.
2015, 2016. Okay.
Mhm.
What did that version of like, so this is the first version of the company that you have today.
Yeah.
What was what was your path to the customer at that time? How did you start finding them? How did you start talking to them? Because you clearly had to have some signal that keeping like this was the way forward and that the old thing needed to go.
Yeah, it was for sure when we added our first shopping cart. So, it was not really, we weren't permitted, like with some of these large accounts, to have shopping carts on our brand website. Websites were really meant to be catalogs at that point. But we needed money, we needed cash flow. And so we were like, well, we're going to add a shopping cart. Like, other people were starting to do it, and it was just kind of a Hail Mary, right? Well, we added it. And remember at that time, I mean, our AOV was like over $400, and it was amazing. I would die for that today. And so we added a shopping cart, and people just were buying online. Like, they were just coming, and we weren't spending any money on advertising. I didn't even know what a marketing budget was, because before that, our marketing budget was direct mail or running ads, print ads in a magazine, right? Like Fit Pregnancy or People Magazine or whatever. that's how we were advertising. But yeah, so our first taste of it was just that natural, like, it was the brand. It was that really valuable word of mouth, right? Like, turns out moms really like to tell each other what to buy. And I think that's what was really driving our sales online. And so we got a little taste of it, probably early 2014. And then 15, we leaned into it more. And then I hired my first employee that had experience in basically website. We switched from, I think it was either Magento or BigCommerce to Shopify. And we spent about 3 months uh, just building this Shopify store. And her name was Kristen. That was this marketing girl that I hired that had experience. Actually, I lied. Take that back. I hired an agency to help us figure out SEO and building the site. And they were idiots. But this one girl that worked for her, I was like, she's sharp. And so we took her in with us and she helped us build the website. December 31st, 2016, we sent an email out to all, I don't know, maybe 4,000 stores and said, thank you so much. We really appreciate your business. But we're going direct to consumer now. And we closed it. And it was like definitely a whole
That's a
year.
bullet.
Yeah.
That's not a quiet. That's like a full on, like, I'm gonna put a bullet in it.
Yeah, and we knew it was coming. Like the buildup of it was intense. And this was like there was already a Black Friday, but it wasn't Black Friday like it is online. And anyone in the baby world knows that like Q1 is our like Black Friday basically. Because it's just people don't have baby showers in Q4 or whatever. Um, so we switched over from I think it was Magento to Shopify. And we thought our revenue would stay the same. And I mean, it was under $1 million that we were doing just in website sales on our thing. Well, it came to a screeching halt because apparently we broke every link that we had coming to our site, like literally old school SEO. And it took us about 3 months to organically build it back up again. And we had so many celebrity nurseries we had done. Like we had PR and press was something we leaned into hard for those first 13 and 14 years. And but yeah, so that first year we ended up doing $1 million on our website. And I think it was towards the end of it that Kristen, the girl I hired, she was like, hey, I really think we should run an ad on Facebook. And I was like, no.
Just one.
No. Yeah. And I was like, no, nobody's on Facebook. And I was like, they're on MySpace. And she was like, no, they're on Facebook. And I'm like, what is this Facebook thing you speak of? Like, and so I made my own account, right? And she was like, let's just start it off low. And so so that was it. So we got an ads manager. We took I was still doing product photography at the time. And so we kind of took our best pictures and I love copywriting and I made my first few ads. I probably completely screwed up the campaign at the time. Like who knows what I did? I can't even remember. But I think we started off at just maybe $100. But the really cool part about back then was you could spend $500 and the next day your revenue was $2,000. And then you'd bump it like $100. And the next day it'd be $2,500. Like it was, you could see this immediate like jump in revenue. And then we just started scaling as fast as we could. When we were doing that, we were actually manufacturing in the US. So, yeah, I've manufactured in Mexico, the US, China, really those only in India a little bit, but mostly just those 3 countries. And it was when we started apparel and we started our knot gowns, which is kind of like our original little hero product. And we were making it here in Texas in a little cut and sew factory. And they couldn't keep up. And so we switched over to China at that time. And then it was just a race of like scaling spend and keeping up with orders. And I think we went from $1 million the first year, spending no money, to maybe $3 million the next year, then $7 million. Then it went to like 15, 30. And then, of course, COVID was in the middle of that. And it was like a slingshot.
So, Katy, you went from a high of $10 million pre-recession in 2007, wholesale only business, through the recession, a divorce, the business, you shut down wholesale completely, you as low as $1 million, and then
Yeah.
you shot all the way back up.
Yeah.
At any point, were you like, "I'm an idiot, I gotta get out of this," or you just the whole time you knew you were like, "We're for it"?
No, yeah, I still question my decisions. Like, yes. No, I didn't know what I was doing. Are you kidding? I absolutely was just closing my eyes and, like, pushing the button, right? Like, hope this works out. And we never raised any money either. Like, I think that's kind of an important thing to touch on. Like, when I started this company back in 2004, I, sold my boat in college that I was so proud of, but I needed money to start the company. And we never took on debt, ever. Like, all of it was just using the cash flow to run the business and grow it. And when we started, even when we were spending on Meta, because right now we've got to spend the money in marketing before we see the revenue. And what was really mind-blowing to me was how could we be doing that much revenue and all my money was going back into inventory and hiring people, and, like, cash is this, like, magic thing that grows your company, but, there's so many people right out there, they're like we see the influencers online and they're like, I'm doing 5 and $10 million online in revenue, but it takes money to get there too. So I think it was a hot minute before I really started paying myself anything.
Can you, you said that this just makes me think of this. I wanted to ask you this, but you said that when you switched, you did this like site replatform thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my first business was doing these things in the like mid 2000s, right? And it was great business because there was so much platform movement at that time. Um, that sounded expensive. Can you think of like, is there another mistake that you've made in this whole journey that was even more expensive than that? Where
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, that was just ridiculous. Why did I do that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of those. My
What's the one that stands out?
when I didn't realize that you could hit Nexus in all 50 states, and then you have $1 million sales tax liability that I had to pay, that was a really expensive one. And I paid it. And I had right, because for so long I had this small company, small. I thought we were crushing it, by the way. Literally, when I thought we were doing 10 million, I was like, "We're the biggest baby brand ever." No, we were nobody.
Yeah.
We were nothing. But I had a CPA that was local, knew nothing about e-commerce, and I trusted him. And yeah, when we started to grow, man, we grew. And it was another guy that was in kind of the e-commerce business, and he was like, "Well, how are you processing all your sales tax?" And I was like, "Through Texas. That's where all our employees are, and that's where my building is. So I don't have to worry about the other states." And he was like, "But how much is your revenue?" And I told him, and he's like, "No, have you looked into it? You probably hit Nexus in those states." And I think it was that night I went home and I Googled it, and I was like, "Oh my God." And I realized that some states it's by transaction numbers and some states it's by total revenue. I made a whole spreadsheet that was what state, what numbers they are, how I hit them, what I did. I thought I was going to just manage it myself. Thank the Lord somebody told me about I think it's called a VDA program that Avalera actually ran for us. And they told me I was the most organized person that had ever gone through that. I know more about sales tax today, but yeah, it was over $1 million in liability. And that sucked because you know why? I didn't collect it. So that was just straight, I had to pay it. But, sometimes when you scale and you get businesses that big, lessons get really expensive.
Do you know that, like, do you guys ever think of this, the sales tax thing? Because I know we've talked about this in the other pod, John. The sales tax thing is one of those like collective econ knowledge things that we now have
Yeah.
that 10 years ago we didn't have. Like I remember this. Like as a Canadian, I remember vividly the day that I found out that there's like 13,000 tax codes in the United States. And I'm looking at Canada, I'm like, well, we have 13. Why do you have so many? And I remember at the time, my CFO was like, dude, this needs to be solved, right? Like we're smoking everything in every county, in every state.
Yeah.
Same thing. I remember this moment.
There's no
that I-
because there's no playbook. Like, where were we gonna educate ourselves on that, right? Like, nobody
yeah,
told
it's
me.
definitely like, it's better today. We have like institutional knowledge as a
Mhm.
community. Like I think,
Yes.
I think Shopify, like kudos to them that is largely that, like, I think them driving it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. My second most expensive lesson, which actually probably is even a more expensive lesson, was, up until about 30 million in revenue, we were really just a single kind of product company. So we were known for creating like the outfit, the swaddle, and the name announcement that babies used in their announcement picture at the hospital. So it was kind of like when women buy their wedding dress. It's a big lifetime event, right? And the birth of your child is probably bigger than your wedding, and we had everything she needed to pack in her hospital bag and put in her bassinet. And I was like, we're crushing it. Like, we are freaking killing it. Everybody wants Caden Lane for their hospital newborn photo. My brand is big. Like, I'm doing all these things. And what I didn't recognize at the time was that I was literally like packaging up my customer and wrapping her in a bow and passing her off to my competitors because I didn't have any products to sell to her after her baby was born. And now looking back, like, I was such an idiot because I didn't even know, you guys, like, what a KPI was at the time. Like, I think I've told y'all this story. We went through a process at one point in 2021, and they were asking me what my KPIs were, and I was, like, Googling what a KPI was. I didn't know, like, and I didn't need to know because I didn't need to report it to anybody. I had my thumb on the business and I knew what I was doing. The P&L I created every month. Like, I was reconciling our books. I was doing the marketing. I understood the company. It was me and maybe 10 hourly employees. And so I knew every aspect of it. I didn't need to know KPIs. I didn't need to know what an AOV was. I surely didn't know what an LTV was. And then I figured it out. So, and yeah, that's cost me what, like that. I mean, I guess looking back, I could have probably gone bigger, faster, and harder had I understood that early on, but I didn't have the resources, or I don't know. I didn't have anyone to tell me that that's what I was supposed to be doing.
How do you stay in touch with your customer now? So, like, back then, I'm imagining, like, you're, like, reading everything, like, every comment, like, you're looking at reviews. You're a much bigger business today, we'll get to that, but how do you still do this? Like, the because, like, a lot of product ideas and kind of expansion still comes from you, as I understand it. Like, you're
Yeah.
still always thinking about it. How does that look? How did it look then, and has it changed at all? Or are you still kind of, like, same playbook?
No, it's definitely changed. And I have a wonderful team and an amazing senior product designer who's actually my longest employee. And she's a rock star. But yeah, back then it was all me, right? Like figuring out what we were gonna do, how we are gonna do it. We had a good community back then. Like social media has always been just this great platform for us to talk to our customer. Um, but I really put a lot of value in, we had a brick and mortar store. So I had a second company in the middle of all the chaos of everything. I was like, I'm gonna, Katie likes my life's not chaotic enough. I'm gonna make one more company. And so I opened up a brick and mortar store in Texas. And I don't know, I like to call it my focus group because it's like a never ending study of what moms are coming in and shopping for and what are they talking about and why do they like one brand better than the other and what's selling. And I still to this day go to market with our manager of the store because I just love seeing it, right? And like what's evolving, what's trending. I think that understanding it. And right too, Matt, like I was my customer for so long. Now I'm not her grandma, but I could be, right? Like soon. But in all those growth years, I was her.
Yeah, okay, so you said, I mean, obviously, things are very different today than where they were
Mhm.
in 2015, 2016, 2017. Like, even as you're getting into the 20, $30 million range, I mean, the interesting thing to me is you started out with a Facebook ad, like, and it's like, "Oh my god, I can spend money and get customers." Today, you're still, like, you're very involved in that. Like, you are a significant spender on Facebook. The marketing mix doesn't seem to have shifted that much. How much?
Right.
Absolutely. Am I wrong in thinking that, like, the as you've grown, that the company and how you go to market, that hasn't actually shifted that much?
No. In fact, we're still really, I would say, solely direct to consumer. We just launched wholesale last Sunday. So full circle. And it's crushing it. It's doing really good. And I have a little bit of PTSD about it too, but that's okay. It's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. They need a lot of emotional support.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. It's a relationship business again, which, I mean, you're clearly built for. But
yeah,
okay, so the other thing that you touched on, which I think we got to talk about, is you started a process to
yeah.
sell. Was that like you deciding, "Hey, I wanna sell," or did somebody come out of the woodwork and say, "Hey, you should sell this company, like, you can make a lot of
Oh,
money."
that's the perfect tee up for my answer, Matt. Good job.
I keep my job.
Okay. Yes. So 2021, we were crushing it, right? Like COVID for sure was a slingshot. Although I hate when people say, like, oh, well, COVID made your company big. No, we were scaling before that. What COVID did for us was it it really honed in on my fear of the business crashing again and it not being non-existent. And so we leaned into spin. So we got big. And the short version is we were actually at a dinner party in Austin, and this guy that runs a brand out of LA was there and talking to my fiance, I think at the time. And he was trying to talk about Meta and like spend. And he was like, oh, yeah, well, my brand does this and that. And we spend this much on Meta. And as my husband didn't know about any kind of e-commerce. And so I could see him like struggling through the conversation. And I went up and I said, oh, what do you do? And he said, jewelry. And he was like, "But we're pretty big, like, we spend, $100,000 a month on Meta." And I was like, "Well, that's cute." Well, and I said, "We spend that in a day, right?" Or whatever it was, and, immediately he shifted his attention and started asking me questions, which, was great, like, he was super interesting, but in that moment, he said, "Oh my god, do you know what your company is worth?" Well, he, I think, asked me a question about margins and the whole thing, and I was spitting it out because I was so proud of myself because back in the day, I was like, if my company could just do $10 million, I'm going to sell it. And oh my God, I'd be so rich. Like I wouldn't have to work again. And that was always my like goal. And then I hit it. And then I was like, okay, well, that sucks. Like, let's make it bigger. And then it was 20 million. And then I hit it. And I was like, okay, well, this sucks. So I was still in that transition of like, what's my next goal? But then when he was like, "Do you know what your company's worth?" And he, was throwing out like massive numbers, like, you could sell this for like 75, $100 million. And I stood there and I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. And so we left the dinner party. And that next morning we were sitting, having breakfast at our hotel. And I looked at my husband and I was like, do you really think I could do that? Like, that's crazy. And he was like, well, we should chase after it. Like this guy said he'd connect us with these bankers and like do all these things. So I chased it down and still we were just growing like crazy. And I didn't want to sell it. I wasn't done. I just was like, that's a lot of money, right? Like, well, who doesn't chase that? And so we hired a banker and we went through a whole process. And when I tell y'all that like my divorce was hard, but going through a process, like a true process where you are from beginning to end, like interviewing the bankers and doing management meetings with these like PE firms out of New York. And they're coming to Texas and they're wondering why there's horses in the field next to us and going through multiple like LOIs and like understanding the deal structures and what that means. Like I did the whole thing. And it was exhausting. And it was definitely harder than getting divorced. Um,
God.
yeah.
It's
I mean, it just
like I've never heard that before, but
it
okay.
was. It was. But that I mean, you want me to expand on that?
Like, kind of. Like, I've been through the process to sell, and I'm like,
Oh my
"Well,
god,
okay then."
divorce is way easier. But also, I think that my company is somewhat of my child, right? And I have a lot of my identity in it, and I didn't really recognize that until I went through this process. But yeah, like going through it, like once we had multiple offers and the whole thing, and I remember them asking me questions, and I was so proud that I had done all of this by myself. Like I thought, oh my God, I am gonna blow their socks off because I am all the things. And we were doing our first financial audit that year, in the middle of the process, and I was doing it. So I was going through a sales process. I also was engaged to be married the day before Black Friday. Who does that? Like, what kind of psycho person lives in e-com world and is like, I'm going to travel to Hawaii and get married the day before Black Friday while I'm going through a sale process. Like, it is a
You're
miracle.
glutton for punishment.
Katie, it's called Thanksgiving to normal people. It's not the day before Black Friday.
Oh. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So it was a whirlwind of a year for sure. But we would take these calls and they would be like, well, we're looking through your P&L and your balance sheet, and we have a few questions. Can we talk to your CFO or your controller? And I'd be like, absolutely. Let me go get her on the phone. And I'd take my chair and I'd go, oh, what? I'm going to pull the microphone out.
No.
It's good.
Is it okay?
It's okay.
Okay, visualize me like scooting my chair out of the Zoom call. And then I scoot myself back in and I was like, it's me. It was not as impressive to them as I thought it was going to be. Immediately, they're like, you need a C-suite. You need to have corporate structure. Do you know what process is? And I was like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, look at my EBITDA. Look at these pretty numbers, right? Whatever. I learned it was like a crash course in getting my like MBA in business. And it was expensive to go through that whole thing. And it was extremely time consuming and it drained me. But I remember going through it and asking them questions. Like I was like, what are you going to bring to the table? Right? Like, cause they come in like these big New York guys and we've done this brand and we've built it to this and that. And we've done all these things and we're going to do the same thing to you. And I'm like, okay, well, but I think I can do that. And so, but what are you going to bring? And they're like, well, you need a C-suite and you need to hire. And so we're going to bring that in for you. And I was like, great. Do you know who? Like, who are you bringing in? Who are these magic people? And they're like, oh no, well, we're just going to get a headhunter. And I was like, well, what can do that? Like, well, what else are you going to do? And so then they'd say, well, we're going to help you scale out your product development. I'm like, I just created a really badass deck for you showing you how my product development was going to scale. So what else are you going to do? And then they'd go through another thing and I'd be like, and they're, challenging what our, projections were. And I was like, they're like, are you sure you're gonna hit this? I'm like, I'm doing it. Like, I'm literally hitting it. Yes, I'm going to do it. But then my most valuable part was when we started to talk about like the deal structure and what it meant. Like I had to stay on, right, for so many years, which was fine. I didn't want to go anywhere. But the part that blew my mind was that they were going to buy, it was probably, I think it was like 75 or 80% or something like that. So it was a majority, right, that they were going to buy. And they sent me like the contract or whatever. And I had my attorney looking over it with my CPA, the better CPA, not the one that screwed me on the tax thing. I upgraded my CPA. And he was like, do you understand what debt means? And I was like, yes, I hate debt. And he was like, no, like they're actually going to put debt on your company. And then this is the amount that they're going to write a check for. And this is the amount that your company's actually going to finance to pay you. And I'm like, well, that's kind of bull. Like, so, and then I'm also expected to hit these numbers, but then paying this massive debt off that, right, they're going to use to buy me out, but I'm still there. And my brain was very much like trying to absorb all of it because you guys, and like, I'm sure people listening are like, she's an idiot. I didn't know any of this stuff. Like there was no operators podcast to like educate you on like how this works, right? It was just me figuring it out. And so anyways, it got to the very end of the year. I pulled out. They tried to retrade one time because I missed a number by like a fraction of a percent, which pissed me off. And they're like, you missed it by 2%. We're retrading you. And I was like, well, bye. Immediately got calls from my bankers. They're like, you can't do that. You can't just like call them and tell them you're not doing it anymore. I'm like, yes, I can. You're a realtor. I don't need you to communicate for me. Like I can do this by myself. And so they all talked me off the fence. I stuck with it, went to Hawaii, got married. And actually it was my mother that I was just so distraught because I was like, I feel like I'm an idiot if I walk away from this. Like, this is what people do. This is why you build a company. This is what you're supposed to do. And how stupid am I if I'm like, I don't want to do this. And like, it doesn't mean anything to me. And And she said, she never sold her company. She still has it. And she operates it from her houses wherever she is. And she was like, I think you need to think about what does it look like if you keep it. And I guess I don't really remember what exactly she said to me, but I knew in that moment that it wasn't the right thing. It was my gut instinct, right? Like I just knew that it wasn't the right time, and it was scary to think that maybe I couldn't get it to the next level because I was at that point promising 100 million, 200 million, right? 300 million. I wanted to be Carter's. Billions is what I was telling him I could do. And so then I climb in bed with myself and my brain, and I'm like, how are you going to do that? You don't know how to do that. But I also thought like, well, yes, I can, So we came back, and at the beginning of the year, I had a call with one of the bankers, and we just kind of came to a mutual, like, I was like, it doesn't feel right. And I mean, y'all, when I tell you, we got through everything, like we were supposed to close within days of this. And
And you pulled it like getting close to close. That's
we
insane.
just said no. I know. But you know what? I hit every number I said I would, and I did exactly what I said I would. And it's 100% mine still, and I don't have to answer to anybody.
That's
So
incredible.
I think I made the right decision. Now, will I do it again? I don't know, right? Like that's what everyone talks about all the time, and maybe I will. Some days I go to bed and I'm like, I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. This is hard, right? Like everyone's pregnant. My staff's not kind of like there's just I mean, y'all can imagine how frequent people get pregnant when they work here. Like,
I have 7 people on mat leave right now, okay?
well, you need to put birth control in their water like I do. That's what I do. And I manage it that way.
I feel that so deeply.
Yeah. But like running, I mean, yes, it's so much fun to do what we do, but it's also really hard. One of y'all's questions in the thing was like, what drives you crazy when people say like, oh, you're so lucky to be an entrepreneur or something like that? I
Oh,
don't know.
no. I can't stand that.
Oh, you're saying no. Yeah. And I was like, and it does drive me crazy because I'm like, you have no idea. Like, you have no idea. They're like, oh, it must be so nice to take vacation whenever you want. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. What's vacation? Or when people are like, well, what's your hobby? I'm like, a what? What? I'm doing it. Like, this is my hobby. This is
So,
what's,
I tell my non-entrepreneur friends, I'm like, do you imagine like if you had to live with the craziest person you've ever met?
yeah.
Yeah, except it's you.
Yeah.
That's being an entrepreneur.
And
It's
your
like
brain doesn't turn off ever.
so here, one thing that is very clear to me, and this is like a good thing. I think this is a great thing. Ignorance is like a genuine superpower of yours. It has been up until this point. Like it is like you go into things, you're like, I'm just gonna do it. You don't know very much about it. And what you as number one, you learn really quickly. That's also abundantly clear. Um, People always ask, I think like as like the survivorship bias thing is like as you get more successful, people like if you had to give advice to your younger self, what would you give it? I actually want to ask the reverse. What advice would your younger self give to you today that you think like you need to hear now that you are like much further along? What's the ignorant, like that, like naive Katie? What would she tell you today that like you need to
Oh,
keep doing this?
she'd be like, grab your balls and just do it. For sure. I'll give you a more PC version, but
That's great. We can keep that.
she would say that to myself because like I had all the balls, right? Like I could do whatever I wanted because when I was that young, I just thought everything is figure outable. Like if I needed to be a brain surgeon, I could. Whatever, like a couple YouTube videos, I could figure it out. I just didn't think anything was beyond what we could figure out how to do. Now today, like as we lean into researching opening up our own brick and mortar stores and going back into wholesale. And what does that look like? And do we want to distribute through Amazon? What is omni-channel? How do we become the next Carters? It because I have had this is two ways. I was going to say it's because I've had so much failure over the last few years. I'm a little bit more cautious, right? And so my brain immediately goes to, well, this could happen and this could happen, this could happen. But then also the reason that we're so resilient is because we have the bed so many times. And so I think I want my younger self like standing here next to me going, "What are you scared of? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Just do it. Literally, the worst thing that could happen is that we just keep doing exactly what we're doing, which isn't so bad, right? And even like it's hard. This year's hard in e-commerce. Last year was harder for us. This year is easier. I don't know why. People are like, "What are you doing?" I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's all the things we did last year to try to fix it when it was so hard, or like trying finally paying off now. But I want younger, skinnier, more in fit Katie to be literally right here, like talking to me and being like, "What are you so scared of? Just go do it." I want her to literally be like, "I thought you were going to do it. Why aren't you doing it?" And so then I can go right and do it because
Okay, so you mentioned this earlier then on that, like this Caden Lane like 3.0, with Sean kind of teased this out. Like,
yeah,
you're not done. You're clearly not done.
no.
What is that? Like, and like, where do you want this to go? Like, you keep saying, like, I want to be Carter's. Is that like you're just modeling off of it? Or are you like, no, you have a
No.
completely different vision for it?
Oh, yeah, completely different. I don't wanna be them. No, I don't. It's just to me, that's, like, the epitome of, like, the largest baby brand
Mm.
that's out there, right? And so they're the strategic, right? Like, that everyone maybe will be one day, and I personally don't I think they could do it better, and I think they can do it different. Your question sounds like something my CFO says, like, every time we do any kind of our planning, she's like, what is what are we gonna do in the next year and 5 years?" And my answer is like, "I don't know."
But you clearly do. I think that that's actually like, I don't think that's true. I think like for you to even say like, oh no, there's like a Caden Lane 3.0 and that's coming.
I
You
do,
must
but
have a sense of it.
I do have a sense of it, but I don't think we plan it like, when I hear you guys talking about how you plan, I'm like, "Wow, they're really planners." I think that honestly, living a little bit in the moment and then also having this North Star to reach for has worked to our advantage. Like, sometimes when you plan things out so far, you just get in this, like, pigeonhole of, like, "This is what the plan is, and we're sticking to it." And then I think you can lose focus of maybe what's changing and happening around you. Um, I think it's I think it's worked to our advantage, Matt, like, to be fast to market and nimble, and I feel like we operate like we're a small company, but we're a large company.
Mm.
And process and automation has become my best friend. I'm all here for that. But I really, if you truly were asking me what the next 5 years looks like, I don't I don't think I can answer it.
I don't think I think what I get from you, my sense from you, Katie, is that you couldn't answer it like brick by brick tactically, I think is what you're getting at. But
Yeah.
my sense is that you've always had like you've been directionally correct. You've always said,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I know that I'm going over here. I don't know what it's gonna look like exactly, but I know it's gonna be over there, at least.
Yeah. And the visual part of that is, like, I picture it as being like, we're gonna try a whole bunch of different things, and we're gonna fail at most of them, but something's gonna stick, and that's the one we're gonna chase after. And so it feels like too much of a commitment for me to be like, "We are going to do this, and this is how we're gonna scale, and this is how we're gonna get to 500,000,000," because I don't think that we really know. Like, I do think e-commerce is gonna change. I think direct to consumer is gonna change. I think consumer behavior is changing. And so I don't wanna plan it too much, you know?
You know, I love this because Sean has frequently, I think Sean, you got me to really use this term like lottery tickets. And I've been doing this lately with my team, where it's like product development is like you're buying lottery tickets. You know, you open up new markets or channels, you're buying lottery tickets. And I've been telling my team lately, like, I have no idea which one of these is going to work. I just know that if I buy enough of them,
Yeah.
something will. And it sounds like you're in the same sort of like school of thought. You're like, we're going to do all these things, and I'm pretty confident one of them is going to hit.
Absolutely, with certainty on that. Yeah. But I don't know which one. So, I mean, yeah, so I'm not done, that's for sure.
Well, Katie,
Um,
you've had such a strong intuition about the business for so long at this point. I mean, you're the only person that I know who survived a 90% revenue decline just to come back 10 or 20x bigger than even your peak.
I
Right? This
know.
is
It's wild. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like it's a fearless nature, and I think Matt said it, I wouldn't say it, but like an arrogance or an ignorance to
It's
it.
ignorance. It's not even arrogance. Ignorance is such a great, like, it's such a superpower.
Yeah, don't worry, Sean. I'm not going to forget that Matt's calling me ignorant as a superpower, and you're basically saying that's not what I would describe you as, Katie. I would say that you're amazing, but Matt's
Amazing.
but Matt's word specifically was ignorant. So let's go with his line and see how that pans out.
I just think it's a fearlessness where you're like, look, I'm gonna do this thing, and
Hell yeah.
you're willing to burn down wholesale, you're willing to burn down whatever, just like you're gonna make the right decision every single time.
Because you are, like, I agree, Sean, with Sean, like, you are voracious. There's no question there. Uh, who or what is like an enemy that you wake up thinking about? Like, do you think of like, I'm fighting against this thing every day? You can't say meta.
No. I was gonna say, I hate children's after school sports. That is the bane of my existence because I could be working and like growing this company even more, but no, I have to drive everybody to cheer and football and all their they do. That is my evil. That is what keeps me up at night.
I love
Um,
this. It's such a great response. For context, for everybody who's gonna watch this and listen, Sean and Katie and I are in a text group, and we've actually had, I think you have sent us pictures with your laptop on your lap at like your kids' cheer
yeah,
working.
I know. Look, multitasking is my superpower for sure. But yeah, for anyone that doesn't have kids yet and or coming up on it, driving them to their activities is exhausting. And that is what kills me and crushes my soul a little bit every day. And having to talk to the parents at those events. That's also soul crushing. Um, but
It's so true too.
it is so true because it's like it rallies all the people that have nothing else going on in their life but to live vicariously through their children. And then there's me. So there's a good handful of them you get to meet. Do you want me to answer it for a company?
No, it doesn't need to be. Honestly, I love the answer. Okay, we're gonna get into Titan 10. This is gonna be a regular recurring segment of this series that we're doing. And Katie, what we want to do is we're gonna rapid or sort of rapid fire tactical questions at you. We want you to just like give the things that come to mind immediately. I think that'll just provide for more. I mean, you're very instinct and gut based, so I think this is gonna be easy for you. All right, here's the first one.
Okay.
Okay. You are on a desert island. You only get to look at 3 numbers. What are the 3 numbers that tell you how your business is doing?
CAC, LTV, and margin. Because then I'll know what my EBITDA is.
Oh,
Right?
I like that. All right. And Sean, as I go through these, I want to know if you like agree or disagree, or if you would change something. I think that would be a cool spin on it. Okay. You also, to this desert island, you get to take any book. Okay. But it can't be about business.
Well, I'm gonna take a bottle of wine. I don't want to take a book. If it's not about business, what?
Why am I going to read?
Yeah, that's cute. You think I read? Okay. Yeah.
I think I
No.
would take How to Survive on a Desert Island, something like that.
Okay. All right. Third one. You actually this might be a good one for you because I've heard you talk so much at these events that we go to. What is a contrarian belief about business that you think everybody else is buying into and you're just like, I don't like that?
Oh, corporate structure is. It is. You don't need it's org charts too. I hate org charts. Like everybody's is different. Titles is overrated. I think that yeah, that's my answer.
Love it. Uh, Single most important word in leadership. So how you lead. How would you use, what's the one word to describe how you lead?
Compassion.
Ooh. Sean, do you lead with compassion?
Sean, I'll answer that for you, and he says no.
Hey, look, I'm not a Titan, okay? So people should listen to Katie.
No, you're a Viking. We've been over this before.
Katie is incredibly compassionate. She always asks about me, my life, my wife, everything that's going on, and then the next sentence she'll be like, "Anyway, for this. She'll repeat. She always welcomes in a very warm embrace, but you'll hear exactly what's on her mind. So
I have to soften you up a little bit, and then I tell you exactly what I need. We do the same thing at work here.
Why the compassionate? Why did that come up? I
Um,
would agree, but why?
you know what? Because right now I love everything around leadership because it's such an interesting topic to me as I've grown my own leadership team here, like from the bottom up, right? And I think that compassion makes a really great leader. Like, I feel like people think about leaders being bosses, like growing up, like if I'm a leader, it means I'm the boss, I'm telling people what to do. But I don't think that's it. I think it's more that you're like a shepherd helping them understand what it means to be a great leader. And I think that with that, you have to have compassion for them because you've got to understand where they're coming from. Right. Like, and
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a huge difference between like manager and leader. Those are two, and I think too many people interchange those words when they're describing the same function. And I'm like, you are not describing leadership. That is not how it works. No, I like it. I think compassion is a great one. That's great. Okay, so then if that's the single most important word in leadership for you, what is the single most important word in business?
profit.
Sean,
Well, don't act like that's not y'all's word too. It is your
well,
word.
not wrong.
Yeah.
no, I love what you were thinking because this is my first time hearing the Titan 10, which is happening every single episode. My word for running, I guess my leadership is directness. Aaron, is the chief creative officer behind this, has had to deal with me being very direct in like what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And I was going to say results, which I think is just comes down to profit, right? I think it's
Yeah.
why else were we in business?
That's great.
Yep.
Okay. What's the best meal of the day and why?
Oh, I know I'm gonna sound like an alcoholic. Well, I'm trying to do really good at cutting out some like my glass of wine every day, but I will say for the last 21 years, that has gotten me through it because it brings down, right, like that level of energy so I can focus on my family.
I would even say rituals matter. So like,
Yeah.
daily ritual of whatever it is, like I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Right.
just one. I don't need like a whole bunch, just one.
Okay. Most overrated growth tactic right now.
God. All of them. Read all of your Twitter posts and every one of
You're like subtweeting Sean.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all of y'all and your shiny object syndrome that you chase after. Like whatever is the key word that's cool in marketing bro land, that is what everyone chases after. And I usually just sit back and go, all right, I'm gonna let these figure it out first. And then they'll tell me what works and what doesn't.
Okay, and then I want the flip of that. What do you think the most underrated tactic is?
Community.
Oh,
I think more brands should lean into really understanding their customers and using their community as really the best marketing channel.